Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are diving into Natas, a war game from OverTheWire designed to sharpen your web security skills. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Now, let's jump in and start hacking our way through Natas. The level I'm going to do will be level 18. And this level, I think, is a bit more complicated in comparison to previous level from the perspective of source code. But no worries. Now we can, copy this address as starting point. Paste in here, press enter. So we are required to supply the username Natas 18 and also the password. We can get it from notebook and paste into password field, sign in, no problem. And so please log in with your admin account to retrieve credentials for the next level. We can try to use admin and admin to log in. So here, you're logged in as regular user, although username is admin. A bit weird. Okay, and to get credentials for the next level, we should log in as an admin. A bit weird, so we can check its source code. Okay, just I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, this level involves a bit more complicated source code in comparison to previous levels, but I think it's acceptable or reasonably understandable. Okay, so we can only focus on the middle section on this web page, on this source code page. So first define the variable max ID, and so maximum ID is 640 and should be enough for everyone. So I think this implies we can make some sort of brute forcing against this ID. And the next block is to define the function is valid admin login. And if the request array has key, username, and also its value equals to admin. However, the following two lines are commented out. So in any case, this function will return 0, right? If, maybe not in any case, if we just provide the username admin and will not return 1, okay, because of the reason the method of authentication appears to be unsafe and has been disabled for now. And the next is to define another function to check the ID, to check to see whether the ID number is numerical. Okay, very simple function. And next to create ID user, and this is the global variable we define here at the beginning of this source code, and then return the random between 1 or from 1 to maximum ID number. Next, okay, similar to previous levels, we can pass the debug key and then can print out some debugging message. But I think we can ignore this function. And next to define the next function, my session start. Session is the mechanism to keep track of information on the server side. Okay, and on the client side, the client will be using cookie to keep track information, right, between client and server. So if this cookie, the cookie will be submitted by client or by browser, and if this, of course, cookie, its type is array, and if the cookie has the key PHP session ID, so maybe let me open developer 2 and go to storage. Yeah, indeed, this, even we are logged in as regular user, there is a key. The key name is PHP sys ID, and the value is 57. Okay. So now let's go back to the source code, and also if the value or the value of this key is numerical, okay, numeric, and this is calling this function. And next, if the session cannot start successfully, we return false. Otherwise, we'll debug, or we'll give the debugging information, session start, okay. And then if the session doesn't have a admin key, interesting, doesn't have a key admin, and then we'll some kind of debug information, and then the session ID. Session, session is the variable or array which contains session information, and on the server script, or running on the server script, and set to 0. So I think in most cases, this session admin key would be, the value for the admin key would be 0, and return true, return false. And the next function, a very important function, because here it to print credentials, for the next level, or Natas 19. Okay, and before we can print out the credentials, we need to check whether the session variable is there, okay, is not empty, and then the session array has key admin, and also the value for this key is 1. However, so far, or up to this point, we cannot see anywhere the admin key, the value for admin key has been set to 1. Only 0, and also here is 0, return 0. A bit weird, right? So next, and show form variable to true, and then we can, we'll call this function my session start. And so if the session start successfully, and we'll print out credentials, and then set the variable show form to false. Otherwise, we'll check the username key in the request array, and also the password in the request array, and the session ID. Session ID, I think this is calling, I think the session ID, create ID, this is this function, create ID, okay? And so session start admin is, so session admin is valid, admin login is valid. Here return 0. So even this returns something will return 0. But from this function, we need to set the value for admin key of the session array to 1. Otherwise, we cannot print out the credentials. And also, we'll call this function print credentials again. So I think the key point to get the credentials for the next level is to, I think it's this one. However, unfortunately, we cannot set this value for this key to 1 anywhere. Very interesting. But just now, I think this ID is able to, we can make brute force against this ID. And you can see over here the value, the session ID is not so random or dynamic. The maximum number is 640, right? Random create ID and the set cookie. Here we cannot see the set the cookie, right? However, if we, for example, if we change different value like 1 and refresh the page, resend the cookie. So now, although the value is set to 1 for this key PHP session ID, we are still logged in as regular user. So maybe we can make brute force to change this value and to look for something different. If we get the response which doesn't contain this word, regular user, possibly we can get the credentials for the next level. So I think this is the primarily idea what we'll be going to code. Okay, let me open up the PyCharm editor and we can go to new Python file, Natas 18, and PyCharm will take care of the extension automatically for us. So next we need to import something, but before we do that, I'd like to get is, the quest here. Maybe we can refresh, because even we do not need to submit post form, we can refresh this page. Let me, we can. And we can refresh. And so the first one, not this one. I think now we press Enter again. Okay, so the first link, we can copy value as Q command. And then we can go to the website, which can help us to convert Q command to Python immediately. We can paste in here, copy to clipboard, and paste in here. Next, we need to import other thing. From requests, author, HTTP basic authentication, and let me move the header to the beginning of this code. Next, of course, we can come out this line. We will authenticate to the web application manually, or every time we send a request to the web application. Okay, so now we can use for loop for I in range from 0 to 641, and we can indent all of code here. Of course, we need to pass the authentication argument basic, but we didn't define this variable yet. We can basic and HTTP basic authentication. We need to give 2 arguments, Natas 18, and then we can copy its password from notebook, paste in here. So now I think the warning is gone. So now the cookie here, we can use format string, we can use curly brace, not this one, and so the placeholder would be I. Okay, and also the cookie arguments has been set into, into this method as one of arguments. So next we need to check to see whether this message is in the response or not. If not in response, it means that maybe we have already found the credentials for the next level, and we, of course, if we can find such credential, we do not need to go on anymore. So we can break out of the loop for loop, and also we can print some message during long time. F, we can print out like try out with ID. Okay, so ID. Oh, not I. Press. And also maybe we need to import the time module. We can introduce some delay between different requests. So time sleep 1 second. So let me bring up the terminal window to run our program. Press enter. So now try out with ID 0 into the cookie, and 1 to all the way to 641 until we can find correct cookie value, and then we can get the password for the next level. So I'm going to pause the video to save time of this video. Okay. All right. As you can see over here, when the ID is set to which number? 118. We successfully retrieve the credentials for the next level. So I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you in the next one. Bye. Have a nice day, please.